Hello everybody, welcome back. Got another vinyl update for you guys, a mix of record fair finds. I went to my first record fair of the year recently, and a few scattered thrift scores. Still not finding anything too major or exciting at the thrift stores around here, but a couple little things here and there, which I'll get into first. Feeling a little under the weather today. It was a big yard work day yesterday, so I'm feeling it today. But we'll get right into it. Stompin' Tom Connors. I think I was talking about him in a previous video, probably a few back. Found a couple more albums by him, and a double of one of them, I think. To It and At It, Stompin' Tom Connors. He's a Canadian kind of country folk guy, kind of a bit of a mix between Willie Nelson and Johnny Cash, if you can picture that. And very distinctly Canadian. He references a lot of regional stuff in his songs. He's got Prince Edward Island, Happy Birthday on here, New Brunswick and Mary, Manitoba, another song on here. Just very distinctly Canadian. He was defiantly Canadian, actually. Refused to move to the US to further his career. Spent his whole life up here and career. And at the same time, I also found another one by him, Bringing Them Back. This is his cover of kind of old-time country songs, basically. Beautiful condition copy on the Cinda label. What does he do on here? My Nova Scotia Home by Hank Snow. Jamaica Farewell, of course, famous song. Red River Valley. Just doing over all of those old songs. I think this is a distilled from a couple of 2 LP sets he put out. Another thrift find, beautiful condition. Mo Kaufman. Basically a Canadian jazz guy. Things are looking up. This is 1978 on the GRT label. Beautiful condition. Basically a jazz fusion here. Very much in that late 70s sound. There's a bit of bossa nova and kind of Latin rhythms going on in there. Nice stuff. Last up for the thrift finds, found this one, Nena. I think this is their follow-up to the 99 Luft Balloons, their big hit at the time. Beautiful condition, and it's even a German pressing. And even still has the merchandise sheet. Pretty cool stuff. They had a song out that followed up 99 Luft Balloons at the time. I remember I saw the video like once, and I think I even liked it better than that song. But I can't remember the name of it now. I haven't recognized it in what I've heard from them. As I said, I went to my first record fair. I went down with my friend Mark, who's also a big reggae collector. I bought nothing but reggae at the record fair. Found a bit more than I was expecting. Didn't really see anything non-reggae that kind of jumped out at me. And first off, there was quite a few 7-inch singles, which there's one seller I know who sometimes has a bit of reggae there, but there was a couple of other ones as well, and including some nice singles, some rare ones. Unfortunately, most of them were in really poor condition. They might have played okay, but they were pretty cheap, a few bucks each, but the condition they were in, it just wasn't worth the gamble. But I did find a handful that were in fairly decent condition. I'm going to go through them chronologically. First up, from 1969, Trojan Records, UK pressing, of course, the iconic Trojan label. This is the Pioneers with Poor Ramesses. Pioneers, I've shown them before, a pretty popular harmony group. They were famous for their song Long Shot Kick the Bucket, which was about a racehorse. This is kind of another one in a similar vein. Poor Ramesses is a racehorse. Instrumental on the flip by the Beverly All-Stars, In Orbit. It's produced by Leslie Kong of the Beverly's label in Jamaica. Leslie Kong was a Chinese-Jamaican producer. Kind of not well known nowadays, but he was actually the first man to record Bob Marley. His very first couple of singles. Was instrumental in getting Jimmy Cliff's career going, as well as lots of hit singles with people like Toots and the Maytals and the Pioneers. In 1970, he put out a compilation called Best of the Wailers, which was not authorized by the Bob Marley and the Wailers. Buddy Wailer apparently put a curse on Leslie Kong, and he died suddenly of a heart attack the very next year at the very young age of 38. curtailing a quite productive career in music. Next up, from 1970, I believe. This is one from my friend who's a seller. Again, I can tell this is from that Quaker sound system collection. It's got the markings on it. Let's see, Quaker. This is a white label of the Ethiopians, No Baptism. The Ethiopians were another harmony group fronted by Leonard Dillon, sometimes called Leonard Sparrow Dillon. He used to record under the name Jack Sparrow in his early days because he sang like a bird. They started out in the ska days and eventually evolved through the different phases of Jamaican music into a very deeply roots, deeply dread harmony group. Basically, eventually pared down to mainly Leonard Dillon. This is one of their key songs of the early 70s, No Baptism, blank label, produced by Derek Harriott. You can see the Derek Harriott shop stamp on there, and it doesn't have the title on it, but somebody's written in one of the classic Jamaican misspellings, No Batman. Superman's okay though. And the version side, of course, similarly marked up. Though nice to get that one. Add it to the other ones that it was part of the same collection from, obviously. Still a few pieces of that collection kicking around, I guess. This was one of the ones from that seller, one of those sellers with the really bad condition ones. This one was sort of okay. Classic Studio One production, 1971, early reggae. The Mad Lads with 10-1 on the Coxsone label. Sound Dimension version on the B-side. A-side, unfortunately, very crackly. I guess it's probably the condition, might be the pressing as well, but the B-side plays pretty okay. 1972, another blank label one on the Observer's label from 90 The Observer. Otherwise known as Winston Holness. He dubbed himself 90 The Observer because he lost one finger in a workplace accident. Cut some very hard roots through the 1970s, particularly associated with Dennis Brown at a key point in his career. But when I got it home and dropped the needle on this one, I recognized it right away. It is the Jamaican singer Ken Booth doing Silver Words, which was actually a cover of a Rodriguez song from the Coming From Reality LP, I believe. So that Rodriguez music was not too well known in North America until the Light in the Attic reissues came out, but apparently was known in Jamaica because Ken Booth had covered one of his songs in 1972, Silver Words. And I think Dennis Brown did another one halfway up the stairs around the same time. Next up, Lee Perry production, actually. 1972 on the Upsetter label. Shenley Doofus doing To Be a Lover. This was quite a big hit rather, produced by Lee Perry. Version by the Upsetters. Shenley Doofus was a singer who'd been around since the ska days again. This is his cover of a song by William Bell called I Forgot to Be Your Lover. Here retitled To Be a Lover, with an original rhythm track constructed by Lee Perry and the Upsetters. It was later done over again by Lee Perry in the Black Art years by George Faith. Augustus Pablo, instrumental, Shakedown on the Star Apple label. I think 1975 on this one. And rhythms laid down by the Inner Circle Band, it says on there. And version side by King Tubby. Very nice dub on there. And last single I picked up, classic Bunny Lee production of the great roots singer Johnny Clark, Every Knee Shall Bow, Canadian pressing on G clef. It says produced by Joe Richards here, but it's Bunny Lee. And again, King Tubby dub on the flip with the Aggravators, Bunny Lee's backing band. So that was the singles. I also found, or 7-inch singles. I also found a few 12 inches. First up, the late 70s Revolutionaries at Channel 1, classic Rockers sound, and a classic one by Culture, Trod On the High Note label. That's produced by Sonia Pottinger, who was the preeminent female producer of reggae in the 1970s. She was well respected. Apparently treated our artists more fairly than some other producers. So Culture, after cutting their classic 2/7's Clash and follow-ups for Joe Gibbs, they departed for her label. Spent a couple of years with her. So that is classic from that period. Still on the Channel 1 tip, different labels, different producers, but same backing band, same late 70s rockers sound. This is the Mighty Diamonds, 1978. Plastic World, kind of a state-of-the-world song looking to what's going to happen with the coming generation. And on the B-side is There's No Me Without You, which is more on the soulful side. It's a cover of a song by the Manhattans, but just that classic rockers sound from the Mighty Diamonds albums of the period. And another Channel 1 production. This time comes on one of those awesome Channel 1 disco sleeves. The Revolutionaries, misspelt Revolutionaires. Channel 1 the studio. Obviously playing up the militant image of the name. Some of the artists on the back associated with Channel 1. And this is on Channel 1's own Hitbound label. It is the Jays with Ranking Trevor doing the DJ bit. Extended mix of Truly, which was a song done by Marcia Griffiths. And on the B-side is the Jays again doing Yahoo, which was a song probably best well known for its version by the Viceroys. So that is the, one more 12-inch single. This was actually from my friend. Absolute classic from a couple of years later. On the Jaw Guidance label, early 80s on this one I believe. Barry Brown, Give Another Israel a Try. Classic, heavy, sparse, early 80s Roots Radix sound on here. Roots Radix were the backing band that kind of took over from the Channel 1's Revolutionaries as the preeminent backing band of the early to mid 80s. And another classic by Barry Brown on the flip, Sweet 16. Kind of a, if the A-side is more roots and culture, Give Another Israel a Try, Rasta imagery there. B-side is more classic early dance hall, Sweet 16. He's torn between two girlfriends, Pauline and Christine. Pauline, me dancing queen. But there's a bit of anxiety in there too, as he says, I don't want no submachine, come wreck up the scene. Kind of acknowledging the casual violence that was part of the dance hall scene. On to the LPs. I think I got 3 LPs at the record fair, and that was it. First up, Africa on My Mind by Harold Butler. This is late 1970s on the Water Lily label. I'll give you a shot of that. If not a first pressing, it's pretty early. Got a nice bumpy texture on the label. Classic Jamaican press. This is basically an instrumental album. There is some light vocals here and there. Harold Butler was a composer, keyboardist, arranger. He composes and arranges all the songs on here. This is basically, like I said, it's instrumental, but it's all instrumentals with a theme. Literally Africa on My Mind. It all has themes of African freedom and independence, particularly South Africa, apartheid era South Africa, which is South Africa is one of the names of the song on here. You've got titles like Open Gates to Zion, Liberation, Rebel Leader, Crying in Soweto. You can kind of tell where his head is at, what he's thinking about when he composes these songs. And quite a nice lineup of players on here. He's got Boris Gardner on bass. He's got his brother Leslie Butler on piano. I've shown an LP by Leslie Butler before, I believe. The great Cedric Brooks on trumpet from Light of Saba and Mystic Revelation of Rastafari. Very nice roots instrumental set. Getting back to the dance hall again, I showed this one in my special dance hall video. Little John, Ghetto Youths, again on the Jaw Guidance label. Henry Junjo Law's production, Roots Radix at Channel 1. Just iconic dance hall singer. Got that younger, more energetic sound, able to fit his lyrics to any sort of rhythm. That was the spontaneity required of a dance hall singer. Last LP I found, and this one is not a record fair find. I had this one already. Horace Andy, In the Light. I'd had this for a couple of years. I'd had the Blood and Fire CD of this for many, many years. Came together on one CD, but I picked up the LP of the vocal sides, and at the record fair I found a beautiful condition copy of the dub versions, In the Light dub. This is a late 1970s set, or two sets, vocal set and a dub set, put out by the great singer Horace Andy, with a Queens, New York-based producer named Everton De Silva, who had a very promising catalog of music. He was unfortunately gunned down in 1979. These were reissued in the mid-1990s by the Blood and Fire label. And this is just a beautiful condition copy of the dub versions. Happy to have that one. I heard from Steve Barrow just the other day that the Blood and Fire website is likely to be shutting down sometime this year. For many years, probably since the 1990s, not long after those LPs came out. That was my first stop when I get on the internet. Just kind of habitually click on the Blood and Fire forum, see what's going on there. So if that's gone this year at some point, that'll be kind of sad for me. So that's what I've got for you today, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks to everyone for watching, and take care.